WagerTalk.com. It's Best Bets Part 2. We already did a video where you got my best bet and Scott Spritzer's. If you missed that, check out that one. But we've got the best bets from Preston and Ralph, and we're going to start with Preston. You're looking at Syracuse and South Florida. South Florida travels to Syracuse this week. What are you looking at, Preston?
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest overreactions from just week 2 to week 3. Remember, this is a Syracuse team that was getting 14.5 against Louisville last week for most of the week until the day of the game. Louisville got some money. So now a South Florida team, they're not on par with Louisville for one. And they, part of the overreaction might be that they just crushed Northern Illinois at home last week. But you got to remember this Northern Illinois team was in a really bad spot off of a long triple overtime game in Wyoming, where it's the highest altitude in FBS. And then they had to travel all the way to Florida, play South Florida. And then their quarterback, starting quarterback, Drew Hare, got injured during the game to make matters worse. And, South Florida ended up crushing them. So you're getting a really, really nice number here, over 2 touchdowns. I don't think it'll last. Ultimately, when you actually look at the X's and O's in the matchup, I actually was talking to Ralph about this yesterday, and he brought up a good point. The last time that South Florida's defense really played an up-tempo style that Syracuse has now brought in with Dino Babers from Bowling Green. It was Western Kentucky in December in their bowl game, and they gave up 45 points to Western Kentucky. Now, Syracuse probably isn't as efficient offensively running that type of offense as Western Kentucky, but it remains to be seen. That up-tempo that South Florida doesn't see very often, they're going to be seeing it again here, and they struggled last few times that they've seen it. Last point, they have Florida State at home on deck. This isn't a game that they're really, really focused on, in my opinion. It's not a conference game. They'd rather try to win this Florida State game. They could be looking ahead. I don't, bet just because of those spots, but it's a bonus, I think. You might as well, mention it for sure.
Absolutely, and then throw into Syracuse played on Friday, so you got an extra day. That doesn't hurt either. Preston, what do you got going this week? I know you had a monster week last week with your place. Tell the listeners what they can look for this week.
Sure. I bet a lot of volume, so you guys know. But we went 15-5, so it was a really good week. Lost the big play on Tulsa though, which I know you still get trolls for that. But I'd bet it again too if anyone wants to go at me on Twitter. I would bet that game again this Saturday. I really like the spot, but. Either way, really good week. Similar type of volume probably this week. We're around 15 plays, I think, though, so it'll be a little less. But, if you want to grab the weekly pass, you can get access to all of them. I know I have one play up for a Saturday morning game for sale right now, as well as an NFL Thursday night game. I'm betting that one. So I think we got a good spot there. So if you want to play the NFL Thursday night game, you can go over to WagerTalk and get it.
Yeah, and I'll just say that, grabbing your weekly pass is the way to go because you bring out a lot of your plays very early in the week, and the lines are going to move. And you want to, when you get a season pass, you'll get a weekly pass, you'll get to play the minute you enter it into the system. They'll get an email telling them to hit the play. So check that out with Cheetah. Let's go to you, Ralph. What are you looking at on Saturday? Marshall and Akron. Akron's making a trip to Marshall. What are you looking at?
I may be bringing up some bad blood here because Akron was a best bet from Preston last week, but it was a game that is now giving us value. And I'm one that if I lose on a team, as you said with Tulsa, you would go right back to them. I'm not worried about losing on a team and going back to them. We're here as handicappers, and off a loss sometimes gives us great advantage. 54-10 against Wisconsin last week. And truly, when you're in that situation, this Wisconsin team is bigger and stronger, and we thought they might not be as motivated, but they were ready to play, and they just pounded on a smaller Akron team, and that game got put away in the second half. So now Akron has 2 games under their belts, and we're getting probably 4 or 5 points on this line because of the loss. On the flip side, you have Marshall. Marshall's played 1 game this year. They had a bye their opening week. Last week they played Morgan State and they beat him 62-0. People think Marshall's the cat's meow. Marshall 10+ wins the last 3 years, 62-0 the first week. An Akron team that got crushed. There's only one way to go, and that's right, it's the dog. We're looking at that Marshall team that won 62-0. They were 2 of 11 on 3rd downs. They missed a field goal. They missed an extra point. They had 2 kickoffs out of bounds. They're a struggling team on special teams. They only have 10 starters back. And that 10-3 team that Marshall had last year, they were only plus 40 yards per game against the number 127th schedule. They're not that good of a team.
They were one of the luckiest teams in the country last season.
Absolutely. They should not be a 17-point favorite. And this is a team, Akron, who is well coached, Don't worry about last week. They could pull the upset this week because who does Marshall have on deck? Oh yeah, they're hosting Louisville, the biggest game that Marshall has hosted in over a decade, or perhaps ever. I think it's a great spot to play against a team that got crushed, that's been a solid away dog under Bowden, and again, a situation where we're looking at a team that got blown out against a very misleading team that people think is better than they should be.
Good stuff. What do you got going this week?
You know what? We had our first 5% in football last week. It was a totals winner on Missouri and Eastern Michigan over. And I'll probably have between 8 and 10 college football 5%. I'm actually going to have one again this week, and it is a totals play. I find a lot of value in totals. You're getting teams that scored more than they should, a lot of special teams and defensive scores. Totals are made because Vegas thinks that's where people are going to bet the totals. When a general fan looks at a score, that's what they base their totals plays on. I dig into plays. I dig into yards per plays. I dig into penalty first downs that shouldn't have been there. And when you add all that up, it's another 5% play this week. It'll be up tomorrow by noon. I suggest playing it early. I do expect the line to move a few points. And again, first 5-star winner, first 5% winner looking for another this weekend.
And your line moved quite a bit last week, and you didn't need it. They went way over the total, and I would highly recommend jumping on that as soon as you post that. Check it out at WagerTalk tomorrow, and of course that'll be part of the weekend all-access package. Check that out, and don't forget, guys, every Tuesday at WagerTalk, it's $2 Tuesday. You can get one capper we feature each week. We offer a best bet from them for just $2. It's a great way to introduce yourself to a new capper, or maybe just introduce yourself to buying picks at WagerTalk. Check it out each and every Tuesday, $2 Tuesday. Guys, if you missed my best bet, it's on an earlier video with Scott. Check it out. We hit our best bet last week. You can find that at WagerTalk.com. That's it for this week, guys. Enjoy the games. A lot of great games this weekend. Hopefully we helped you get some more winners here with the videos, and we'll be back next week.